Hello, I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of An Old Guy in Europe. This week on the Good Morning Portugal Show with Carl Munson from September of 2022, I share my experiences of helping an American order his salad, being consistently talked over when trying to participate in conversations, and learning to manage my ego in the face of it. So once again, I invite you to please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Twang. You like a twang on your opening, don't you? Good morning to you, James.
I love that twang. Bon dia.
How are you, mate?
I'm grand, thank you. I have to say, you never keep me waiting because I'm always just enjoying the show, so I'm never waiting.
And it was lovely this morning, wasn't it? So many pictures, videos, lots of
Yes.
feedback from folks, and lots of people in this morning awaiting you and Gilda. What have you got for us this morning? I do like how you described yourself this morning. Grand. What a beautiful word that is.
Sometimes I run out of superlatives, so because as I've said before, I choose how I feel, and that's the choice I make. At any rate, I've just been itching to share an anecdote from yesterday, my 6-hour marketing day on Sunday that I shared, I think, last week. That Sundays are those hours of being out, and I've finally adjusted to that and learned to accept it and actually enjoy it now. So we were at Intermarché for lunch. And I had ordered my food and was waiting for the server to put the food on the plate and bring it back to me. And I heard to my right, which is behind me in the line, an American accent, or actually American English. And he was saying, "That one over there." And I turned around, and he was pointing to the dish that he wanted served. And then they always ask about salad, and you get 3 choices of, what 3 ingredients you want for your salad. And so I looked around when I heard that one there and saw him pointing, and I said, "Oh, okay, there's a fairly stereotypical 20-something surfer dude speaking American English." And so then I heard her say, "Salada," but she didn't speak English. It was clear to me she was trying, like, okay, how do I? He spoke English to me, and I don't speak. So he points over to the lettuce, and he says, "Over there," and she's like looking which one, and he says, "Yeah, the green one."
Come
so
on,
I realized,
you've got to step in, haven't you? Come on.
Yeah, I was just about to say alface when he said the green one, and she figured it out. And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to help if I can." And so the next, she says, "Imais," or "e," like what else? And he's pointing over to the corner bin, and she points to the cucumbers, and he goes, "Yeah, yeah." And I say, "Oh no, he didn't say yeah, yeah." I heard him say cucumber, so I said pepino. And she goes, "Oh, okay." She went to the corner and put the cucumbers on. And then I turned to him, and he said, "Hey, thanks for your help." I said, "You're more than welcome. And now you get 3 choices. She's asked you for one more. What do you want?" And he said, "I wanted the carrots." I said, "So that's cenoura." And he said, "Cenoura." And I said, "See." And so then she said, "Yeah." And he said, "Cenoura." And so he went from that one to cenoura in the course of about 20 seconds because of the intervention. And it just felt really good. It felt so Portuguese to be able to jump in and help. I'm always at the other side of it where, people are speaking Portuguese. I have no idea what's going on. I need people to help me out to understand. So to be able to change the shoe, or so to speak, or put it on the other foot, was quite fun. So I just had to share that one. I was very excited
Well
about
done,
being able.
yeah, thank you. You know what it's like to be that surfer dude. We all do, don't we? Or most of us
Yes.
do here, and it's
Yeah,
lovely to
and some of my very first vocabulary was produce and coffee and bread. I had to learn how to ask for those things, learn what they are. So those are pretty familiar to me. So that, yeah.
What vocab did you and on the matter of vocab, we apparently we wear 10% of our wardrobes 90% of the time. I think we do the same with our vocabularies. That's a pretty good comparison, I would say.
I think
What
so.
words were you using when you first? I mean, I use a lot isto, and I point at things and go isto, and then often the other person says esta. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, but
Right, right.
at least we've got there. And uma de cada, one of each was always very helpful, except
Okay.
and also quite dangerous as well. What other words would you recommend for people who are pointing at things inside
Well,
Intermarché or anywhere
part of
else?
my strategy around my language learning was based on well, not based on, but someone else has said it. Learn the language as if your life depended on it.
Yes.
I wasn't quite that extreme, but I went to what are the words I'm going to need to know the most? What are the
Yeah.
words I'm going to use the most in my day-to-day interactions? So I got the greetings, hello, goodbye, how are you? Fine, thank you. I got, and then as I started to go out to order coffee and stuff, Joao F was very helpful. He told me exactly what the coffee was that I needed to order. So now I could, I was able then to order exactly what I wanted and have it be understood. The bread that I order on a weekly basis, I gradually learned. I went from pão to pão de mafra to pão de mafra comprido, and then from that pão de mafra comprido fatiado. So
Yeah.
each time, like, this is what I want. I was able to specifically order it, and each time, part of the great integration is, and part of the beauty of this sort of weekly ritual of going out shopping is we go to these places fairly consistently. So I get not just familiar with the language and ordering my own, and I insisted on doing that. Louise was always very helpful, and she says, "What do you want?" And I had my own little tickets, and I'll try and figure it out myself. She's, "Oh, okay." So she's like listening when I'm doing it. It's really quite cute. And then I ask her, "How do you say sliced?" She's fatiado. I said, "Oh, okay." I'll try to remember. But then the people in the places that you go, you see them repeatedly week after week, and they start to understand who you are. Oh, he's that American guy who's with the Portuguese people who is attempting to speak English. And,
Yes.
I helped him before, but he stayed in Portuguese. So I will rather, because the pull is to want to help you. They don't want to see you suffering around trying to say what you need to say if they can understand you and speak to you in English. But
Yes.
I was determined. It took time to practice not immediately going to English, because that's the easy way to do it. It's like, if I'm going to learn, I have to stay with the Portuguese, even if they're accommodating my English. So now they don't accommodate the English anymore. They see that I can do it. They understand what I'm up to, and they listen. And then, it's really quite fun. I'm working on understanding the numbers with money. Fortunately, they almost always come up on the register. So if I don't hear it, I can look.
Yeah.
But that's a relatively new one. So, and then ordering my food, at least my salad at Intermarché, I know the ingredients because we go to the Mercado every week, and they have a sign up. It's beautiful. The vendors have a sign that has all the vegetables that they sell in Portuguese, French, and English down a column. So I was learning those words anyway, but I could say, "Oh, what was zucchini?" And I said, "Wait, there's no zucchini on here. What is that?" Because it's British English, right? So the word is courgette,
Of course it
which
is.
is
What is this
which
zucchini thing?
straight across the board. It's French, English, and Portuguese. It's the same word. So
What is Portuguese for courgette now? You were asking that or thinking of
it's
that.
courgette.
In Portuguese?
Yes, all three
Yes.
languages. It's the same.
Oh,
So
I've got you. Got you. Yeah,
so when
okay.
Louisa, I said, "So where's zucchini?" She goes, What's zucchini? That sounds
What?
Italian.
Yeah,
Yes,
takes us
it
back
is
to our
Italian.
Friday conversation. Yeah,
Yeah,
cilantro.
yeah.
Anyway, but let's not be talking about coriander. That does upset people.
No,
So.
no, that was plenty long enough. Yeah.
I
Anyway,
think you've probably got something to say about ego management this morning, and we're crunching our time again. I can't believe it.
yes, there we are. 6 minutes to get it done. Hurry.
Yeah, I think Gilda will be forgiving. We'll find out, of course. But there are a couple of things to bear in mind when you're pointing at things in a supermarket. Pole and pole, and so bread and stick, and also be careful asking for senoras and senoras in the
Well,
supermarket as well.
that's
That could
actually how I remembered Sonora. The word connection. I said, "Oh, Senora Sonora, Mrs. Carrot."
Oh, I
That's all
remember you
right.
saying
Now
that,
I
Mrs.
can
Carrot. That's right.
yeah.
From James's new book about learning Portuguese by making connections. Maybe we've got an illustrator who could draw up Mrs. Carrot for you. She should be on the front cover, I think, Mrs. Carrot, shouldn't she? That's a great way of learning the lingo. James, so that's almost like your thoughts from the Redwoods foreplay with us there. I think you do have a main event as well, do you not?
Well, I do, and I wanted to say it's interesting. Whenever I look at something I want to focus on, it tends to pop itself right up into my experience. So we're talking about ego, and I made a mistake in my greeting this morning. For some reason, I put quinta instead of segunda in my normal greeting, and I went, oh, and I need to go back. And so there's ego going, oh, I can't be wrong. I can't show, it's like, all right, just let it go. So if anyone noticed that, I acknowledge I made that error already in advance. The other piece around ego that I noticed that I've only more recently begun to really manage, and I wanted to talk a little bit about management, was this phenomenon of being talked over and feeling like I was being disregarded when I wanted to participate in a conversation. I would start to say something, and Louisa especially would just talk over me. She'd just start talking, and she uses the English, because this is in English, of course. She uses the word anyway every time she wants to change the subject and talk about something she's interested in talking about. So,
Sorry.
so I'll be trying to
Everybody knows
respond.
somebody like
I'll be trying to respond to something she said. She says, anyway, and then she blah, 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 and onto something else. And I never finish the sentence. I try to jump in, and then it's like I'm ignored or talked over. And my ego was just getting assaulted in this, like, you have no space in this conversation, was what ego was receiving. And I realized that Louise is not the only one. When I look around, I pay attention to other people, and I can get my ego out of it. I see Portuguese people talking over each other, a group of five. It's like, how does anyone know what anyone's saying? They're all talking. Every single one of them is talking quite excitedly. It's like, how do they, I can't. So I have just, the management, and this is part of what I wanted to get to, is going back to the formula of notice, choose, act. It's the first thing is to notice, ooh, I'm getting upset, or ooh, the energy in me is coming up around, hey, I have something to say, or stop talking over me, or whatever's going on. I'm noticing that energy. So then comes the choice. Well, what do I want to do about that? And at first, I want to say something. And it's like, well, okay, that's ego. Is what you have to say particularly important? It's like, no, but I just want to be a part of the group. So is that important? It's like, well, not really. So really, you could just sit and listen, and that would be okay. I guess so. Okay, well, why don't you do that? Oh, all right, I'll do that then. Right. But that's sort of the process of managing the ego. I had to notice it was up. Then I had to make a choice about it. Then the action I took was just sit back and see if you can understand some Portuguese words, or, whatever is going on. So, and that was very much like keep you waiting. That could be an ego thing. Hey, it's not on the screen. But I learned a long while ago from unfortunately, I can't remember his name, but he was an author, and he wrote an anecdote about waiting or sitting on a bench in a park for a meeting he was having, and the person showed up 10 minutes later than they had agreed, and said, oh, I'm so sorry for keeping you waiting. And he said, what do you mean? And he said, well, I'm 10 minutes late. He said, late for what? He said, well, we agreed we'd meet, and I'm 10 minutes after that. He said, oh, so you're here now? And he said, yeah. And he says, that's fine, because I wasn't waiting for anything. I was just sitting here enjoying the view from the bench. Yeah. It was brilliant. I just I'm not waiting. I'm doing something, like
Yes.
making a choice to be in the moment now and appreciate where I am, as opposed to that ego going, hey, they're not getting to me. It's my turn, or whatever it is that's going on. That person is late.
And also
So,
the assumption,
manage,
I suppose, the assumption that we have been a blow to someone else's plans, which is quite arrogant and conceited in its own way, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And I think it can get a little bit touchy because there's issues of integrity in it for me.
Yes,
For
I
me,
understand.
if I'm late, I'm out of integrity because I made an agreement, essentially a promise to be at a certain place at a certain time to meet someone, and I'm not there. The
Yeah,
thing is, then where I get to manage ego around all of that and judgment and everything else is that I'm always there before they are anyway.
yeah,
So, like, if anyone's waiting, it's me, not them. So, I get the opportunity to look at, okay, now what are my judgments about them not being here when they agreed? Am I going to hold that against them? Am I going to judge them? Am I going to be better than them and they're worse than me? All these ego things around the fact that I was there when I said I would be. And so it's another opportunity to look at ego from another direction. Like, oh, that's my ego being superior about my behavior over someone else's, which is arrogant. I think that's practically the definition of arrogance. So, to me, I said it last week and I can't stress it enough. I believe that ego is the source of all conflict, from the personal to the global. And
sure.
uh, so getting that managed, to me, if there's a pyramid of putting the world in order and it starts with me, the foundation of that, the base of that pyramid is manage ego. Like,
Yeah,
I think that would be 80% of the solution to all the conflict that exists. So
agree.
that's one of the things I wanted to talk about it. It's so
And
important.
something magical happens. We'll go to Gilles in a couple of minutes. There's something magical, I think, that happens when you even begin to think that there is this thing called the ego that might be running your life. However you formulate and define that. But the very act of stepping back to observe what might be going on, I think, is a good 50% of the work anyway, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and what helped me in that was really, and this has been progressing over years and years and years, the aspect of, it used to be when something didn't go right and it was like a huge issue for me. I started asking myself this question to sort of reset, reboot. Um, in the history of the world, how important is this?
Yes.
You know,
Usually not very, right?
like not at all. It's only
Yeah,
important to me personally, and I'm only one of billions of people who existed in the history of the world.
sure.
So that helps give it some perspective, and now more, especially in the part about contributing to a conversation or wanting to be engaged. It's like understanding that my desire to participate, I think, is human. You want to be a part of it, but it's also ego. And if I take a minute to look at that and say, how important is this? Do you really need to say anything at all? Like,
Yeah.
why is it that what you have to say is so important that you're going to get all energized and upset about not being able to say it? And when I look at it, I go, it's not. It's just
Yes.
I want to play with the group. It's like, okay,
Indeed.
well,
Yeah. So I think from our forthcoming another book, Portugal as Personal Development, there is a lovely coming together here of wanting to learn the language, and then of course what can go on when you are trying to learn the language or don't feel like you're learning it very well, or are a part of one of those conversations that you described. And I think we may well continue this theme, James, because we need to.